that we got the right mic mic'd up. We do. Amazing news. Now I just got to share it on the Facebook page, and we're good to go. Da-da-da. There we go. There I am. God, Facebook just changed how groups look, and because of that, it made it a little bit more confusing for me. Okay, there we go. Share now. Bum 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 bum. All right. Come on. There we go. Money shift in the morning. Okay. Hello, everybody. I am Thanasi. This is the first edition, the number one of MoneyShift in the morning. Got my coffee here. Hope you guys do as well, or if you're in other parts of the world. Oh, I don't like that. I don't want to buy followers. No, thank you. No, thank you, person. Thank you, but no, thank you. Let a couple people funnel in here, and then we can get cranking. All right. Okay. So we do actually have a good amount of car news to talk about today. There's 3 news items. And just as a reminder for everybody tuning in, this is the Money Shift podcast. We talk about automotive car news here, usually starting a new series called Money Shift in the Morning, where I can just talk about the day's news as we go along throughout the week. And then we'll still have that longer episode on Tuesday that's a more detailed look at all of these. So these morning episodes are going to be anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour, nothing crazy long, but it'll be centered around automotive news topics or a variety of other topics. So, for example, tomorrow's episode, we're going to be covering 10 vehicles that we would want to come into the USA that aren't available in the USA for us. But without further ado, let's start with this fine machine to my right. This is the new Ferrari Formula One car, and this is their challenger for the 2021 season. Couple interesting things here to note. Again, guys, I am not an aerodynamicist, not by any stretch. I am not an automotive, motorsports engineer. I can't tell you, like, hey, look at the front end plate of this Ferrari Formula One car, and you will see how they managed to sculpt it in such a way where it will improve. No, I can't tell you that. So what we're here to talk about is how this car looks, because from what I know on the engineering side of things, Ferrari spent both of their tokens on the rear end. So the front of this car is very similar, if not exactly the same, to last year's car, but the rear end is where the majority of the changes lie, technically. Now, the biggest difference between this car and last year's car from a livery perspective, there's really 2. One, this car now fades into the anniversary darker red that they showed. I believe it was at Mugello last year. And then 2, there's now a big green sponsor logo right on the fin. And I can't help but absolutely hate it, if I'm being brutally honest. I think Ferrari is a little bit unlucky in that there's a lot of really, really nice cars out this year. So they really had to do something a little more special. But at the end of the day, it's also Ferrari, right? How much are you going to get from them when their entire history has been predominantly, just showcasing a hue of red, like a version of red? So I wasn't really expecting the moon here, but I was expecting a little more than a Christmas livery here with the red and the green logo. So I'm a bit disappointed by that end, but at the end of the day, I'm hopeful that as a McLaren fan, they don't even compete and they're still shitty and at the bottom of the map. But anyway, whatever, moving on. Let's move on to a couple more interesting cars that actually made their debut yesterday. The first one we're going to touch on is the Wagoneer and the Grand Wagoneer. That's these two right here. So when we're thinking about the Jeep lineup in the future, we got to change how we think about it. Okay? What up, Joe? How we doing, man? Welcome to MoneyShift in the morning. But we got to change how we look at the Jeep lineup in the future because it actually reflects Toyota's lineup pretty similarly on the SUV front. So now if you think about the Grand Cherokee, okay, that's the car that currently is body on frame and occupies that sort of rugged off outdoorsy like thing that Jeep does. But moving forward, that's actually going to be a unibody SUV, which is similar to things like the Honda Pilot, the Toyota Highlander, right? Cars like that. Whereas this guy over here is body on frame still. And it's squarely competing against Tahoe, Yukon, Escalade, Sequoia, excuse me. That's really where they're trying to make their mark. Now, the Grand Wagoneer pushes even further up, both in size and in price, and not only goes for cars like the Escalade Navigator, but it also goes for cars like the GLS and X7. So let's talk about the details of these cars, and let's talk about pricing and what the difference is, because we saw the concept, and this is now the production. And it's great to see that not a lot changed between that car that we saw just a few short months ago and this model right here. So let's talk pricing first. The Wagoneer starts at $57,995. The Grand Wagoneer, which again is a difference of size and some other options, $86,995. So this will without a doubt be the first Jeep that touches $100,000 with options. Now, what do you guys think about that? Because me personally, I think that Jeep has had the brand cachet to do this for a long time, right? If you're looking at Wranglers, Wranglers can get pretty out of control on the aftermarket side of things, and people are really customary to paying those high numbers for Jeep Wranglers. So it made sense that Jeep on their own could sell an SUV with this price premium if it were to actually warrant it. And, you know, just looking at these pictures, because I haven't seen, touched, felt, looked at this Grand Wagoneer in person, it does seem to have that look, right? Like the Grand Wagoneer looks mighty premium on the inside. I mean, look at those screens, the wood, the leather, the layout, like it looks the part. So I'm hopeful that there's actually a worthy competitor from a United States brand that can compete on that six-figure stage that isn't just the Escalade, right? It would be nice to have someone else, and it would be great for Jeep as well. Bring back an iconic name in a format that everyone's comfortable with, right? A body-on-frame SUV that has a V8. That's exactly what Wagoneer people should have wanted, right? And it looks the part. Looks pretty good. I like how it looks. Anyway, let's talk more about details. So the Wagoneer, which again is the smaller one, has a 5.7 liter V8 with mild hybrid technology. So it has a 392 horsepower, 404 pound-feet of torque, and that is pumped through an 8-speed auto. You can get it in rear-wheel drive or four-wheel drive, and it can tow 10,000 pounds. Pretty good. Pretty good stats there, okay? It's got 5-link rear suspension. You can option on air suspension if you want to the regular Wagoneer. So now this guy, the Grand Wagoneer, and you can already see the interior change, right? You got the stitching and the wood and all these like premium materials, okay? The Grand Wagoneer has a 6.4 liter V8, so don't get the engines confused. 471 horsepower, 455 pound-feet of torque. Four-wheel drive only, also pumped through an 8-speed automatic, but standard on the Grand Wagoneer is air suspension, among a host of other things, okay? So, on the stats sheet, they have the tools to compete against cars like the Escalade, cars like the Lexus LX, cars like the Navigator, and then the Wagoneer, same thing against the Tahoe, the Expedition, the Sequoia, stuff like that, right? I just hope that they can execute. Jeep knows how to make an SUV. I'm a big fan of the current Grand Cherokee. I owned a diesel version of it myself. Put a lot of miles on that truck. I really, really liked it. So I'm hopeful that they're able to transition to the Grand Wagoneer being the body-on-frame thing and do it sort of gracefully. So we'll see. Time will tell. What do you guys think about it? I'm personally a fan, but I'd love to hear everyone's point of view. Does Jeep command that $90,000 plus pricing that the Wagoneer in Grand form will certainly command? Or should they have sort of stayed in their lane and only made things in like the 50 to 60 realm like the regular Wagoneer? Moving on to the thing that I'm actually most interested in, if I'm going to be brutally honest. Canoo. Canoo. If you guys don't know who Canoo is, now you do. Canoo, go EV on the stock market, by the way. Canoo is an electric car company based out of Torrance, California, which, for those of you that don't know the geography of California, is right under Los Angeles. It's considered part of LA, quite frankly. Canoo came out last year with a van-looking thing that was just like a fishbowl. Okay, it was black. I don't know if you guys remember it. But effectively, what they're trying to do is approach the electric car world with two things in mind. One, budget, and two, style. Okay, so this is the brand's pickup truck, and all I have to say is, holy shit, we have a cab forward looking fucking pickup truck. I showed this to my partner who, as I was preparing this podcast this morning, and she effectively said, wait, that kind of looks like a fishbowl. But to which I said, that's kind of why it's brilliant. Like, guys, am I insane for actually really liking this thing? Like, I really, really like how this thing looks. Like, I know it looks funky. I know it looks weird, whatever, but I can't help but love it. Look at that. Look at that. Just dance. That thing looks awesome, right? So let's talk about the details of this Canoo electric pickup truck. So it is available in single or dual motor trim. The dual motor has 600 horsepower and 550 pound-feet of torque. It has 200 plus miles of range. So it's not going to be that big 400, 500, 600 mile range that you're likely going to get in things like the Cybertruck and in your top tier Rivian models. But it's probably also going to be cheaper. If we look to Canoo and look and see what their work van can do, we see that that thing is about $30,000. So if Canoo can come in at a similar price point for the single and dual motor pickup, they'll get some sales regardless of the range being where it's at. Anyway. Payload is 1,800 pounds. The Canoo pickup has the ability to charge external devices for a whole day while only losing 10% of charge. And there is also no logo on this thing. Anywhere. Nowhere. None. Canoo made a statement with that by saying that they feel their design and lighting, the signature lighting, this sort of cross that you see in the front and back, along with just the fact that it looks like a cab-forward fishbowl pickup truck, is enough to get people to say, hey, wait a minute, that's a Canoo. Wait, did you see that? Look at the Canoo that just went by. Hey, wait, did you see the Canoo over there? They don't need any logo. They think it's enough that their design is distinctive enough to not have to use a logo. And I love that confidence. And it's totally true, right? There is nothing on the road today that looks like this Canoo pickup truck, that looks like the Canoo work van, that looks like the Canoo van in general, right? It's a very, very distinctive styling. You could say it looks like a fishbowl. You could say it looks very generic. But the fact is it's own thing. And now that you guys know what this is, every time you see it, you're not going to get it confused with like a Silverado or an F-150, right? More things like this feature, the bed is very modular. So there's a cargo divider system to secure items. There's flip down tables like workbenches on the front and the back. You see that there. There's a bed extender as well within this. I liked at the beginning, there was sort of side drop downs. There's a side step. So it's kind of like a key truck. If you look at a Suzuki Carry, there's a bed option for those things where you can actually drop down the sides. It just makes it easier to load things, easier to unload things. Or in this car's case, you actually have a workbench there as well. On the front side, the front drops for storage and another workbench. So Canoo is really, really trying to push hard the fact that this is something that you can work with, something that you can take, on a trip like this to the middle of nowhere, something that can house everything you want, right? They didn't talk about towing. They didn't talk about price. Those are the two really, really big things that we got to key on when we look into how this performs long term, because I'm really, really excited for this thing. Joe, good morning. You came in at the right time. Look at this thing. This is the Canoo pickup truck. Look at it. Look at it. Take it in. Look at this side step. Look at that. I actually really, really like it. I don't know. Jill says, I don't love the weird look, but I love the tech. I wonder if they will follow the Tesla model of deploying software firmware updates throughout the usual life of the product. I think they definitely will. I think where you won't see them compete with Tesla in the short term is range, for sure. Like these Macs will likely do 250, but they're also going to be probably a lot cheaper than the Tesla Cybertruck. And I know that's crazy because the Cybertruck, I think, starts at like 40,000. Let me look at the price sheet of the Cybertruck really quickly. But like I said, if we look at the other Canoo models, they are cheaper than their counterparts. And you can get this thing with a rooftop tent. Look at that. Look at that. That looks awesome. But yeah, let me pull up the Cybertruck pricing and range comparison. Okay. So Cybertruck you can get for $39,900, a single motor rear wheel drive Cybertruck. For $49,900 you get dual motor, and for $69,900 you get tri-motor. So in single motor rear wheel drive trim, it has 250 miles of range, so probably similar. I pronounce this Canoo. Am I pronouncing this wrong? Joe, shout out for the stars, by the way. I don't know why that notification didn't go off, but I appreciate you. Good morning to you as well. I pronounce it Canoo. Am I pronouncing it wrong? Is it supposed to be Kano? Or that's how I'm reading your comment, Jill. let me know if I'm pronouncing this wrong, but I'm pretty confident it's Canoo. So the single motor rear wheel drive truck is likely going to be what this is competing against. So they can command probably a similar price, because even if it's a little down on range, the features and the styling could sway you this direction over the Tesla. Once you step up to that dual motor all-wheel drive range, that's likely where they're going to lose the Canoo in terms of performance, because the dual motor all-wheel drive Cybertruck can do 300 plus miles, tow 10,000 pounds, et cetera, et cetera. So it'll be interesting to see where this car comes in price-wise, but I'm not going to lie to you guys. I really, really do like this truck, so I'm really keen to find out what the pricing is and what the availability of this is, because I'm interested. As you guys know, I'm definitely in the pickup truck space right now in terms of like what my next step is going to be personally. So maybe it's this thing. Who knows? Canoo says, when the working... Just wondering what the spelling is from this man. Oh, okay. Gotcha, Jill. It is Canoo. Canoo. And yeah, I guess that's why you sort of need the logo on the truck, right? Is if you don't know what it is, or if you've never seen it, to know what it is. But Canoo is hoping that that you will learn the name and know the name. And then every time you see the styling, you'll just be like, hey, look, that's the Canoo pickup, right? Canoo says, when the working person sees this, they go, I can have a better quality of life with this vehicle, and I can get a return on capital. And every one of these areas is a space to create a return on capital, which is why we spent so much money to develop the intelligent truck bed. Canoo apparently spent $47 million on R&D in 2018, and $137 million in 2019, and another $50 million in 2020. Wow. Crazy. Crazy, crazy, crazy. They continue to say that was our dream, to make sure that we had a vehicle that brought the truck to the market that just shocked people from a visual and then functional standpoint. This is for America. This is what built America anyways. And he's saying the pickup truck there. He's not saying this one specifically, right? So Canoo's truck is going to be built on the same platform that powers the company's other vehicles, so the van and the work van, which means that it shares the same specs. So like I said before, it'll have 600 horsepower, 200 miles of range, and the lower cost version will probably get something around the 100 to 150 mile range with a single motor to the rear. The truck uses the same brake-by-wire and steer-by-wire that Canoo's developed for its other vehicles, so they've been able to reduce costs here. So the hope is that this thing is a lot cheaper. Like if they can get that single-motor rear-wheel drive truck to be $30,000 and the dual-motor all-wheel drive truck to be around $40,000, I think they're winning, right? I think, will they drive tons of sales away from Tesla? Probably not, right? Because there's just a lot of fanfare for the Tesla Cybertruck out there, as it should be, right? Tesla has managed to develop something or put something on the market for sale that commands a really good price, you know? So it'll be interesting to see what happens and where this thing is priced. Additional details will be added the moment I know them, because I'm super, 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 super jazzed on this truck. I'm super jazzed. I'm super jazzed, guys. Really, really jazzed. I'm going to be honest with you. So as a reminder to everybody that just joined the stream, this is the new Money Shift in the morning. Tuesday nights, we record the Money Shift podcast. That is a longer form episode that'll have, more in-depth talks, a lot more things to talk about. These morning episodes are really quick snippets and bites of the week's car news as it goes along, but then also covering some topics. Like I said, tomorrow we're covering a topic that actually Ken Lin brought up. Shout out to Ken Lin, where he says, why does VW USA suck so much and won't bring us the Tiguan R? So we're going to talk about some models that are available in other countries that should be available here, including some from the fine folks at VW. But yeah, I'm really excited just to get more content in front of you guys, to talk more about cars, because I love cars, right? Joe says, I wonder if this car will only have level 2 autonomy as well. Yeah, I don't think they're going to go big with this. And just judging by how it looks, right? You don't really see any cameras, any sensors out there. I'm sure level 2 is the max, which, to be frank, to me is enough, right? Like having something that's really good at staying in lanes is key, on the highway, especially. But yeah, I'm hopeful. It's always great to see another pickup truck competitor, especially when it's electric, especially when it's from a company that hopefully can start producing these things soon, especially when you're a shareholder, which I am. But yeah, excited to see this from Canoo and excited to get in front of you guys more. So please tune in tomorrow. I'm going to be sort of staggering these times because I want to see where we can sort of get the most engagement in the morning, whether that's earlier at the 7:30 mark or later at the 8:30 mark. But we're always going to be finishing by 9. That's going to be that hard stop for us here at Money Shift in the morning. So if you guys enjoyed today's sort of day in car news, don't forget to hit that like button. Don't forget to follow, and don't forget to let one of your friends know that there's this guy in the morning that talks car news, and you should listen too. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on YouTube. We're even streaming on Twitch at MoneyShift. So thank you guys for joining today. We appreciate it, or I appreciate it. Excuse me, I'm talking on behalf of everybody else with me in this room. I appreciate it. I'm glad that we got some car news to talk through between the Canoo, the Wagoneers, and the Ferrari F1 car. And I look forward to catching you guys tomorrow morning